It's limited. It's coming, huh? Open the link.
Yeah, sure.
It'll come in a while. There's a small delay.
After unveil, are you gonna go near the car and?
Yeah, after the presentation.
Okay. You have speakers or something? How will people hear the
Yeah,
presentation?
speakers are.
Ah, okay.
Good.
It's connected to that.
Yeah.
You switched off the audio, no?
No,
Right?
it's still on. Should tell that first.
Maybe there was.
Det är den.
Ja, den är live. 27 personer som tittar.
Ska man vinka?
There is a live stream video going on.
All right. Nice. I think hope everyone can hear me well, even in the back. It's time to start this show. So if everyone just find a place to sit or stand, then we start kicking off. First of all, hello and welcome to everyone. for this car reveal for the Chalmers Formula Student team. A big thank you to all of you for coming here today to share this big moment with us. It's been a long time manufacturing and designing this car, so we're very proud to share this moment with you to unveil it for the first time. We also want to hand out a big thank you to all of our partners who, together with us, make this project possible. Without you, we could not do this. And also a big thank you to Uni 3 for allowing us to be in their amazing facilities. And a big thank you to Wireless Car that has fixed the amazing catering that you can enjoy. So, before we kick off with the car, I want to hand over the word to our fantastic sponsor, Wireless Car, for a while.
So, hi everyone, what an exciting day to see the reveal of the outcome of hours and hours and hours spent Freja. Wireless Car, we are incredibly proud to be a sponsor of the Chalmers Formula Student, and we hope to see you stay for a while afterwards to have a chat with us. Wireless Car, we built and innovate software solutions for some of the biggest and, in some cases, the coolest car makers in the world. And we have been around for 25 years, connecting cars, and we see the exceeding demand of globally. We see the software-defined vehicles, and to continue to grow globally, we need all the knowledge that we can see people have here in the room today. So we hope definitely to see some of you joining us at Wireless Car and growing with us and join us on our journey. So,
yes, should I? And you can relax, I will not have a long speech. Two things is the only thing I want to say. In the unlikely event that you have forgotten anything Anna said about Wireless Car and what we're doing, you are more than welcome down to our software-defined cakes in the corner here after the presentations is over. And the second, but most important thing, is that I would like to propose a toast. A toast for Freja and her success on the racing tracks, and a toast for our future collaboration. So, cheers!
Thank you to Wireless Car. Right, so before we show you what everyone else came here to see, the car, Freja, we'll just talk a bit about the year that has been going on for us. We started off by inheriting a fantastic race car, I must say, Margareta, that was built by last year's team. Margareta had great successes. She won the autonomous competition in Germany, for example, which is a very big feat. And we got this car, as mentioned, and we started learning how the car works, what's its weaknesses, what's its strengths, and started iterating on that. But before we look into what we have done this year, I think you should look back to the present and where we came from. And to introduce you to the team's history, we hand over the word to our team advisor, Björn Paulsson.
Yeah, I think I'll stand to the side here. Perfect. Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be here and speak in front of all of you and about the history of CFS in the electric era. So I'm then Björn Paulsson, I'm a teacher and researcher at Chalmers in the so-called M2 department, and I'm supervising the project together with Stefan Lundberg, who is at the electric power engineering. And we have then done this together for the last 10 years, since CFS switched from combustion engines to electric engines. or motors. So, here you have an historic background of the electric cars that CFS has produced, and we'll take it from the start. So if you go to the top left, you see the CFS 13E, and the E means that this was sort of a side project. The CFS 13 team, they built a combustion vehicle, but Chalmers wanted to go electric, so then they took an old combustion car, converted it to electric. So that was the very first step. But then, for the 2015 season, we built the first purpose-built electric vehicle. And this vehicle then took some inspiration from the first one, but there were many novelties. So, among other things, it was CFS's first full carbon fiber monocoque. We built our first high-performance battery, built up from individual lithium-ion pouch cells, which is the same technology as we use today, and most of the automotive industry as well. It was really an ambitious undertaking to build our first electric vehicle. At the first competition, we realized that it's very good to waterproof an electric race car. But that was sorted for the next one, so they came in 10th and being the best rookie team at the Formula Student Germany competition. So that was really good for a first year electric team. But for the next year then, the team realized that, okay, now we need to consolidate and just refine what was designed. So that resulted in the CFS 16 car that competed successfully both in the UK and in Germany. But of course, CFS teams always want to improve. So with the CFS 16 car, the limitation was rather the powertrain, so both the cooling and the power. So for the 17 car, the ambition was to have new motors and more power. And we developed then custom electric machines together with RS Electronics with more power, better power density. That gave more performance, but also some hiccups to start with. But that car also competed successfully. But then again, CFS 18 was time to slow down a little bit and consolidate. And it was a refinement of the 17 car, and it also competed successfully. So all of the top cars then are two-wheel drive cars. That's how we started. But naturally, if you have an electric powertrain and electric machines, it's much easier to build a four-wheel drive car than it is if in a combustion case. So that's where Formula Students was going, and we needed to catch on. So when the CFS 18 team came home from the last competition, they said that there was no point in going out and doing the acceleration event because the four-wheel drive cars were just much quicker. We had a disadvantage. So yeah, we had to make the plunge. So we did, and that resulted in the CFS 19 car. So what we did was take sort of the easiest way to a four-wheel drive Formula Student car. So we kept the powertrain in the rear from the 18 car and then just added wheel motors in the front. That was still complicated enough. It took some time before we could run and race with four-wheel drive, but they managed in the end, in the autumn. But then continued refinements, and then we went to CFS 20, and it was essentially the 19 car, but much refined with hub motors all around them, so more of a state-of-the-art four-wheel drive from a student car. And it says CFS 20 and 21 due to COVID. So it took 2 years to build that car. And then continued refinement in 22 and 23. And as you can see here, in 22 we also added autonomous functionality. So that's a very brief overview of the CFS history and electric cars. Of course, we could talk for hours about each car and the teams that were behind these cars and actually built them and raced them. I can just point out some highlights in terms of results. So all these years has resulted in some podium finishes, but also a lot of top 10 finishes on these cars. With the biggest success, I would say, is the driverless crash victory last year in Germany. But today we are, of course, here to see the next step in this family of cars. Before I continue to some more reflections on the electric cars, I just wanted to point out then that we have been racing electric cars for around 10 years, and the combustion era in CFS lasted from 2002 to 2014. And then 15 until now, we're building electric cars. So in just 4 years, the electric era will be as long as the combustion era, which is a bit staggering to me at least. So, these are the cars, and I'm showing them here because 300 plus people in one slide wouldn't really work. But naturally there have been teams behind this. So being in academia, I like numbers, and I therefore plotted how many team members there have been each year. And the blue line then is the team members in the actual course each year. And the lower red line, that's the number of managers. And the managers are simply alumni students that stay on for the autumn to guide the new team. And as you can see, we have a fairly steady upgoing trend in all areas, and the blip there is again due to COVID. And it's been especially nice to see the number of managers that has stayed on in the last years. That has allowed us to have bigger teams and also better knowledge transfer and control of the project. So we're now reaching the number of people needed to actually build one of these cars. And adding the autonomous functionality has of course added to the number of people needed. Yes, but some more details. It's an engineering project after all. So if you look back 10 years, what has actually happened? And this is one way of representing it. Of course, again, here we could go through CAD models for a long time, but what you see here then is to the left a longitudinal cross-sectional view in CAD of the CFS 15 car, and to the right the same view of the 24 car. Unfortunately, the aero package is missing on the 15, but yeah, that's what I can find. There are some especially particular things I would like to point out. So the first one is the motor placement and size. So to the left in the 15 we have inboard motors. There were 2 in the back with the gearbox, while on the 24 car you don't see them because they were mounted in, or they are mounted in the wheels, as you will see later on after the unveiling. And also they are smaller than and of better performance. Back in the days we had a fairly rudimentary way of extracting the battery. So to get the battery out, you had to remove the seat, drag the battery forward and lift it up from the driving compartment. We couldn't take it out backwards because there was the motors and the gearbox. That was fairly cumbersome. Today we have a modern solution just with the rear hatch that you detach and you just pull the battery out like you should. In general, I would also want to point out the level of CAD detail, which might not be obvious from afar, but in the image to the right we have much higher design detail in the CAD model, which of course reduces the number of problems when we come to manufacturing with things clashing, etc. So overall CFS has learned to CAD in more detail, let's say. I would say that everything is redesigned from the left to the right picture. Maybe there is some bracket design that has survived all the way, but otherwise most things should have been redesigned. I just want to point out some example changes that you can see here. So for example, in the 24 car, we have all the actuation for the autonomous system by the driver's feet in the pedal box and by the steering that are not there in the 15 car. We are completely new seat design, and here you might say we have actually reverted. To the left we have a nice body-shaped seat, and here to the right we just have a plank with some padding. But it actually has some benefits in that it's way easier and cheaper to manufacture, and it's easier to accommodate for different drivers with just switching padding. So we have to save where we can. And then, yeah, just the monocoque shape is a bit different in the rear and also in the front on both models. If you want to hear more about that, I suggest you find a member of the aerodynamics group to see which of these designs is better. Yes, let's see. Yeah, and just one more example, especially as we are focusing on the electric era. So these are details of the battery or the accumulator. So to the left, you have the so-called relay box in the 15 and 24 cars. The relay box is essentially the control electronics for the battery. While both of these solutions work, you can see that for the 24 car we have a much neater integrated design with a number of stacked PCBs, essentially no cables that can cause problems in glitch. While, yeah, the 15 design worked, but was maybe less reliable. And we can also see to the right, where we have the installation of our battery monitoring system. It's just a sort of top view for the 15 car there, but that was sort of the improvised solution for how to measure voltage and temperature in the cells. As you can see below, we have a much more robust design for the whole battery segment. Yes, but just switching gears a little bit. Now I've shown an overview of the technical aspects of it, but we do this as a course at Chalmers, and why do we do that? So if someone asks me the question, I typically show them this slide if I have the possibility to try and break it down. So it's essentially comparing Formula Student to engineering education or traditional engineering education in some dimensions. So the first one is that with Formula Student you cover all phases of a product development project. Engineering education is otherwise very much focused on the theoretical aspects of design. So fundamental physics and design. In Formula Student you're working very much in a team, and you have to align your efforts with others. It doesn't matter if you're running away and do something extremely good in one dimension. If it doesn't help the overall project objective, it's not of much value in this context. Whereas then engineering education is more focused on individual work. And in Formula Student, the examination is whether you finish the endurance event or not. So 22 kilometers of running with a prototype car. And in engineering education, either you pass the exam or not, typically a written exam. And I would say that this finishing endurance tests a much wider set of skills compared to the written exam, even though they naturally complement one another. I'm in academia, I like academic skills, we're not going to skip those, but you need to learn how to combine them with others and how to make it practically useful, of course. And that's where Formula Student, I think, is a good bridge between theoretical education and industry. So working in this sort of model company gives you a more holistic view on projects and how to collaborate with others. So I just want to finish this with a small video that was made after the CFS 19 car ran with full four-wheel drive, at least one of the first times. And this is from a demonstration event in Aachen in Germany in the autumn of 2019. So you see a lot of fancy graphs to the left, but it's essentially tire temperatures. You see from motor speeds, and then you see the acceleration in a plot. But most fun is of course to the right, where you see the driver camera. Yes, so with that, I think it's due time to move over to this year's project.
Thank you very much to Jan for the little presentation about the team's history. If we now take a look at the present instead and see where we are. This is some of the key characteristics of Freja and this year's car. In total, all four motors together can produce, or at the wheels, we can produce 1250 Newton meters of peak torque. The car can drive itself completely without a driver, thanks to the autonomous system and the LiDAR sensor. And it's four-wheel driven with one motor at each wheel. Together, we are over 50 engineering students doing this project, building a car, competing against other universities all over Europe. As mentioned before, Freja is mostly based on Margareta, but as Björn mentioned, the process goes that you iterate on each year's car to improve where there are improvements to be made. So we started off our project with a design phase, where we tried to understand the 23 car as good as we could, understand what we can change, what we can improve, and what we want to keep. So that took a lot of time to really understand that. We have divided our team up like the following, as you can see here. We have team advisors that help us with from the school side. Then we have managers who consist of people who've done the project the year before. So they're typically people doing their last year of their master's thesis or master's program at Chalmers. And then we have a bunch of subgroups divided in, each with their own area of expertise. And all subgroups consist of project engineers that are taking the course, as Björn was talking about, and junior engineers who typically are in some of the lower grades and will eventually go on to become project engineers when they move up the years in school. But we're not designing a bunch of subsystems, we're designing an entire car. And in order to do this, we really need to focus so that all different systems play well with each other. To achieve this, we'll have weekly sessions each week where we go through every change we made to the car, how it may impact others, and so on, so that everyone is aware of what's happening and how we make the car work as good as possible as one unit. We wanted to focus on making Freja easier to build and quicker to build this year, so that we could spend more time testing before the season actually starts for real. As some of you might have seen on social media already, we are very happy that Freja is already up and running. Maybe not in full race condition yet, but we're getting there. We have a very good start to the year at least. Well, and as mentioned, this is a limited time frame for this project, so it's important that we finish early so we can really maximize the time and test the car as much as possible. Then, what has changed from Margareta to Freja? Well, of course, it is a new car, but there are some systems that's involved a little bit extra. The pedal box has been completely redesigned, and there will gain a weight reduction of around 50%. The embedded software works more reliably, so that we know it always works the way we think and expect it to behave. And also, there's a new design for the front wing that's improved for this year as well. And thanks to the amazing facilities that we are offered at Chalmers, we can very proudly say that we manufacture 95% of all our parts in-house. With the help of all of our partners as well, through advice and materials, we now actually have a fully driving car. Now there's just the tuning and the testing left. And then, before we all started CFS, I don't think any of us in the team knew how to design or even less build a race car. So we've learned a lot of stuff throughout the year. Everything from how to use heavy machinery, use the CNC, work with metals manually, work with carbon fiber, program, lay out wiring harnesses. There's a lot of stuff that goes into a car like this. And thanks to the team's hard work, we managed to achieve a car that has a full carbon fiber monocoque, that has a CLA of over 5, that has redesigned gearboxes with the integrated uprights for this year. We have new battery segments, so we really can power our car the way we need to be able to run on competitions. The software has been improved, is more reliable. We now have 91% test coverage. There's an improved path planning for the autonomous system. There's a minimum curvature radius algorithm and adaptive velocity planning, all helping out in making us faster when the car is driving itself. But none of this would be possible without the help of all of our 41 partners, so we want to once again thank you all very much for that. Now, when we've talked about the present, I think it is time to talk a bit about the future. And with that, I want to welcome to the stage one of our deputy team captains, Laura.
Yes. Hello everyone. Like Philip said, I'm Laura, and this year I'm in the Business and Management subgroup of Formula Student, and I'm also the deputy team captain alongside Philip and Manfred, who will make an appearance later on. So now that we've had a smart talk about both the past of the team and the present of the team, what's in the future for us exactly? For some of the people that are already aware of the project or might be familiar with the team already, you might already know what comes next, but I'm pretty sure that there are a few things that happen behind the curtains that you might not be fully familiar with, and I will tell you a little bit about that. So, excuse me. So first on, now that we finally have a car that is fully finished, like Philip said, and that's what we're driving, it's time to continue on with testing for competition. Using testing, we can see whether all of the design changes we've implemented throughout the year will actually have a effect on the performance of the car, which of course is something that we're striving towards in order to beat the competition, essentially. Using testing, we will also be able to fine-tune the car a little bit to get the best performance out of it as possible, and that is what we use testing for. During competitions, we have both static events, as you can see, which are without the car, and dynamic events, which are with the car. Dynamic events, of course, we can practice, so to say, during the testing, but for the static events, this works a little bit differently. So what we'll be focusing on for the upcoming period before the competitions is getting all of the documentation ready that we need to hand in, and I can tell you that's quite a substantial amount. And after that, it's time to practice for these events. We have two events in particular in the static events that are very important, which is cost and manufacturing and engineering design events. And those are essentially created in order to test our design philosophy behind the car and also the team's understanding of the costs associated with producing a car like this. So this practice we will be doing a lot at university, but we will also be testing it in a bit of a more formalized setting, so to say, down in Lund at the end of June. And thank you, Lund, for organizing this amazing event. I've seen a couple of them around. So essentially what the Nordic Test event is a test that is organized on a yearly basis in order for all of the teams in Sweden to come together, which are about 7 from the student teams, and essentially to practice for the competition together and to simulate what it would look like to actually be there, because at least a lot of our team members do not have a lot of experience with going to competition. During that time, we will also be able to socialize with other teams and exchange knowledge, because even though it's a competition, a big aspect of it is also learning from each other. Not only your own team members, but also members from other teams. That's a very important aspect. And after that, we will hopefully be ready for the real deal, so to say. So at the end of July, we will be heading down to Hungary, to FS East, and after that, in mid-August, we will be going to FSG in Germany, as you can see on the map. And let's switch back for a little bit. So at the beginning of the year, we set ourselves a couple of goals for this competition season. What is it exactly that we want to achieve? Because of course last year they had quite a good achievements and we would like to replicate that. So what we say that we wanted to do is to get at least the 7th place overall in all competitions that we enter. And it might seem a little bit easy when you're not striving for the top places. Just to put it into perspective, there are 80 teams that are registered for FSG, so Germany, and about 45 that are registered for the competition in Hungary. So that's it's not as easy of a feat as it seems. It requires quite a lot of hard work and dedication from the team. And also, one of the goals that we had was to once again get a first place finish in the autonomous system like we managed to do last year. We have worked very hard to achieve these results, and I think you can imagine that a project like this, building an entire tower, can be very time-consuming and also very tiring. During the past period, there have been groups of people that have been working on, example, the monocoque from 8 in the morning to 11 at night, 7 days per week, 13 weeks in a row. And that's only one example, but there's so many other more people, basically. Everyone in the team has been working so hard in order to get to where we are today. And therefore, it's very important that we also take some time off to relax and recharge and just forget about the project for a little bit. So as you can see here, we've been doing quite a lot of team building activities or just relaxing activities on the side. So we've had barbecues, we've had ice cream, another picture of the barbecue. We've done some volleyball, Mario Kart, watching movies, basically everything under the sun. And being involved in a project like this over such a long period of time really forces you to build a bond. Because this entire group has been brought together at the start of September. And it brings together quite a large group of people that normally would have never been able to meet each other. I, especially, and I'm sure that a lot of people in here as well, have met a lot of people and formed very tight bonds with a lot of people in the team that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And I've seen a lot of friendships blossom over the last couple of months, and I'm very grateful for that. But not only do we form bonds with each other, we also form bonds with the project itself. It's not just a school project, it's basically a lifestyle. Kind of a toxic lifestyle if you ask me, but a lifestyle nonetheless. And I think our managers can attest to that. There are a couple of ones over there, and I'm sure that there are lots more scattered throughout the crowd, but also some that couldn't be here. And I just want, on behalf of CFS 24, thank all of the managers and alumni that have been helping us throughout this entire process. We really couldn't have done it without you, because it can be very daunting at first when you enter a project like this and you don't know, like Philip said, how to build a car or how to manufacture or how to even design a car. They've really helped us throughout this entire process, essentially. Well, this is this year's team, but what happens after competition? Unfortunately, as Bjorn explained, this is a course, which means that we will have to move on, and we cannot do this course again, unfortunately. And we will have to take on a new team, CFS 25. Some of our team members will continue on as managers for next year, fulfilling the same role as the people or our managers did for us. So we will still be able to be a part of the team. And I'm sure that a lot of the other team members will continue in a very position in which it will be heavily available in our, common room, so to say. We also have a group of trainees or junior engineers that will be continuing on next year, either as a junior or as a project engineer. And I would just like to give a huge shout out to them, because even though they've been through this entire project before, they still decided to continue on for another year, which I think is very admirable. So on behalf of the entire team, and me and Philip, I would just like to thank the entire CFS 24 team. Despite the role that you've had within the project, this could not have been done without you, so this is for us, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the competition season and seeing what it has in store for us. I'm looking forward to it. So, now to continue on a bit of a less emotional note, it's finally time to reveal to you Freja, the car that we've been working on for this entire season. So I'd just like to show you a quick teaser before, and then we can continue on to the reveal of our challenger for the 2024 season. Freja, I hope you enjoy. But before we do that, just a small thank you again to Wireless Car, who has organized the catering for this event, and also Uni3 for allowing us to be in these facilities. And another thank you to all of the other partners that have helped us throughout this entire process, because as Philip says, we couldn't have done it without their support. And now, we will move on to the reveal.
catering, wireless car. Come up to the car, look at it, ask any of us questions, and yeah, enjoy Freja. Thank you very much.
I think it might be. Close up. I want to do a quick crowd and then just do a quick crowd.
It's just that they have, or they have this already.
Ja, just det. Man kanske inte kan komma åt och se insidan då.
Nej. Det tror jag du kan få. Det är bara att skriva.
Ja.
Komma och kolla.
Ja, men absolut.
Vad sa du?
Stackaren eller hon som ska köra på var för tung.
Nej, men de är ganska långa detta året.
Nej, jag tycker det är så jävla vackert att lindsnäs.
Ja, man ska se att det är en fin färg. Jag gjorde ett spygrönt. Ja, vi får titta på hästen också. Det är väl inte jag.